Another hot day in prospect in the south of Spain at the Vuelta A Espana, beginning in Úbeda and heading up to Cazorla, 159 kilometres with 2,700 metres of climbing. What kind of a day, though, were the riders going to give the spectators? That was the big question mark. On paper, a day for the breakaway. In practice, this was a race that was on because the leader, with almost 5 minutes of a gap, there to be shot at, with everybody looking to try and take back time day by day. Will they be firing from the pistols at the start, or would things be allowed to calm down? The first hour gave us a first answer at a fast one. 50 kilometres per hour, the first hour ridden. An 8-man break did eventually get away, and it seemed like it had a very good chance of going all the way to the finish. Riders stopping for comfort breaks to allow the gap to get up to over 5 minutes. Former Tour de France, Vuelta and Giro winners were there. They all know how to do it in stages. Decathlon were learning how to ride with the red jersey. It had been 15 years since they had the lead in a Grand Tour. This was their second day in the red jersey with Ben O'Connor. With 4 minutes 45 of a gap, it was well in control. Harold Tejada was the only man in any sort of GC danger. He was within 7 minutes in the breakaway. But Decathlon were content to control him. That looked like it was going to be the pattern till the day, until Israel Premier Tech came to the front and decided to try and start to bring the break back to see if they could set up an opportunity for one of their climbers at the finish. Over the penultimate classified climber, Mauro Schmidt, the Swiss champion, there for Jaco Alula, was away trying to get away from the rest. More firepower would added to the chase behind. Dylan Turns there for Israel Premier Tech. 40 kilometres to go, the gap at 3:31, with Wout van Aert behind, seemingly having had either a mechanical problem or some sort of a crash. He'd work his way back onto the main bunch. The main bunch was still at 3 minutes 20 odd. But that came down to 2.5 minutes inside 20 kilometres to go. A combination of riders looking at each other and attacking each other at the front, plus the increased pace from behind, really starting to change the picture. 1.5 minutes was the gap, just outside 10 kilometres to go, already on the uphill when Lascano tried to break things up. Tejada could go with him. Vergalito was there as well, and behind several other big teams, knowing that this could come back together, and they were making their way into position. Was the red jersey going to be under pressure? Would the breakaway make it? A huge increase in pace from behind as they got to the foot of the final 5-kilometre climb, with horrific ramps of 20% still to come. Tejada took them onto those ramps. Less than a minute of a gap for the three that remained in the breakaway. Then Roglic started to ride with Martinez in front, and there was a crash behind. Joao Almeida already out the back, caught up behind it. He would lose time at his place in the top 20 in the GC. Sepp Kuss hitting the ground but recovering. He'd be working his way back onto this group when Roglic would be attacking. O'Connor trying to go with him. Carapaz was there as well, and Mas and Landa were making their way up too. The gap was around half a minute when Roglic went again. Enric Mas this time the best to follow him. Carapaz was trying and trying. O'Connor was still hanging on. With 2.2 Ks to go, it was still a decent job for O'Connor, but then the elastic was starting to snap. Another look around, another acceleration from Roglic. The meters were ticking away, but the gradient was still high. O'Connor was starting to cede time, and Roglic alongside Mas were almost at the front of the race. Vergalito, the Italian, would be caught, and then Tejada inside the final 500 metres. Roglic going away with Mas, and in these situations, there's usually only one result. Despite letting Mas have the front for a while, Roglic came through at just the right time, and Primož Roglic did what Primož Roglic does. Cazorla Roglified. 10 bonus seconds plus the 46 on the line, and from 4 minutes 45 an advantage going into the final couple of kilometres on GC. Almost a minute chipped off. Still a long way to go on the Vuelta, but the comeback is on, and Primož Roglic is leading it. The best Enric Mas we've seen for some time in second place and looking good as well. Third place on the stage went to Mikel Landa. A 13th Vuelta stage victory in his career to Primož Roglic, the three-time overall winner. Mas, Landa, Tiberi and Skilmos are the top five. Tiberi adding seconds into his lead in the white jersey competition. Roglic with his traditional ski jumping telemark celebration at the top of the hill. Ben O'Connor still leading, but his gap now reduced to 3 minutes 49. Still substantial with plenty of Vuelta to go. This is still a very open and entertaining race. Coming up on stage 9, the last day before the rest day, is one of the hardest stages of the race. Leaving Motril on the coast and heading up to the Alto de Asayanas on a couple of occasions. 3 climbs in total in Sierra Nevada before a dive down to Granada for the first finish in the city in quite a while. It's a tough start, it would certainly be a tough end. This Vuelta coming to the end of the first week with everything still to play for.